had no idea what I was doing. I was afraid of what my friends and family were going to think about my book. I X, Y, and Z. I'm even like, every time that I launch a book, I cry because I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm scared. So me being vulnerable and sharing with them is what helps me sell, is
Okay.
building a relationship with people.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery with Julissa Edwards, the podcast dedicated to helping high performers unlock their true potential and cultivate a powerful mindset for success. I'm your host, Julissa Edwards, a mindset coach and advocate for healthy high performance. Join me on this transformative journey as we delve into strategies, insights, and inspiring conversations with experts and thriving high performers. Get ready to master your mindset, elevate your performance, and create a life of purpose and fulfillment. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode on Mindset Mastery. Today we have a wonderful guest, Janine Hernandez. She is a #1 best-selling author, speaker, and book coach. She has been interviewed nationally on television, radio, and has been on some major media networks such as CBS, NBC, and Fox News. With over 20 years experience as an author, it was a no-brainer for her to start coaching and teaching writers to self-publish their own books. She now coaches many authors and has led them to be bestsellers and have national media coverage. This conversation is so fruitful in so many different ways, and there's this really calming tone, energy behind it, even though we're talking about an array of things, including vulnerability, what she's working through at this time, how she authentically shares her stories time and time again, business. We talk about so much, and I just really appreciate the energy and cadence throughout the conversation because this is a woman who you can tell she's doing the inner work, and it's such an honor to be surrounded and around people like that, because their cadence and their flow is just different, and you'll see it in this episode. So without further ado, please enjoy this beautiful interview with Janine Hernandez. Janine, hi girly, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good. I'm excited, and I feel really honored to have the opportunity to interview you right now.
I'm super excited. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and the platform to do it.
Yeah. So, as mentioned in the preview prior to, Janine and I met on the blocks, a competitive entrepreneurship reality TV show, and my first memory of you was when we were in the pods, which was like 15 entrepreneurs go into a room and like we showcase what we learned from that day. And I remember, I think you were in all white, or you had on like white pants or like a white blazer, something. And maybe I'm wrong because then you give me like a weird look. Anyway, I will say that like we were both in the front, as high achievers sit in the front. We were both in the front looking at everyone. And when you went up, I was like, holy crap, like this woman is so fierce in the best way possible. Like I remember, like, you're kind of judging everybody, when you're looking around, you know what everybody does for a living, and you're just like getting to know like who people are, what they stand for. And then you talk about your book coaching business and how you've helped so many entrepreneurs get their voice out there. And I'm like, wow, like this woman is really empowering individuals to share their story for a greater purpose. And she's doing all the hard work of the lifting of like, well, I can just help you get there faster because I've done it myself and I've helped so many other people do it well too. Right. And so that's the whole point of a business, taking out the hard steps and combining it all into one. So why am I saying all this? Because you help people share their stories. And what I love to do as a mindset coach and therapist is connect the dots. Right. It's like, well, why does Janine run a company like this? Right. And as I'm getting little tidbits more about you, it's like, oh, Janine has a very important stories to share. And this is, correct me if I'm wrong, probably what motivated you into beginning a company like this in the first place.
Yeah, so I always knew that I wanted to be an author and I wanted to write and share stories, but the business aspect, that was all God. he just started sending me people. People would just come to me and say, I want you to help me. And so I started coaching people one to one, and it was, it started off slow. And then during the pandemic, it was like, boom, like he sent a wave of people and the business just took off. So I just kept listening to what he wanted me to do. And here I am. I think he's using me. He's using me to help more people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so I love that we're going to talk about spirituality too. Yay, this is all up my alley. So, okay, so you had a divine purpose, we can call it, right? And God helped you get there.
Yep, he did. And since I would say 9, I knew, okay, you're going to be an author when you grow up. And I was in corporate America for 13 years, but I still was like, okay, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. And then, like I said, the business side of it, that just kind of came with time. And I didn't realize how big it would become until I just started to listen to God and where he was leading me. I didn't wake up, when I was little and say, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to build a company. I never thought in a million years that this would be me. I never thought I would leave corporate America to do this full time.
What were you doing in corporate America prior?
I was an HR manager.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So still wanted to help people, right? That was always a thing. Why at the age of 9 did you know that you were going to become an author?
I don't know. At the time, I was, when you're in school, you write poetry and short stories, and you have like a daily journal the teachers have you write. It just always interested me. And by like 9, I was writing poetry, and I would have notebooks with my friends. We would give it back and forth to each other. So we would write letters all day. And I don't know. I just started working on my book, and I would tell everyone, I'm going to be an author. I'm going to be an author. And they're just like, okay, little girl.
Wow. Wait,
Yeah.
hold up. So at 9 years old, what was the beginnings of your book? What were you talking about?
It was all poetry. So I just had a vision that I would have a poetry book. And so I started to,
Mm.
back in the 90s, we didn't have the same accessibility that we do now. So I had a binder with all of my poems that were printed out. And back then, my parents did try, like, they did their research to get me published, but the only option in the 90s was traditional book publishing. And I told them I don't want to do that because I don't want anyone to have full rights over my work. It's so crazy how I had an entrepreneur mind. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't
I
want to do that.
did.
I don't want anyone to control my work. And so it wasn't until I was 22, 23 that I finally published that book. And I did it myself.
Wow. Okay, hence you learning your own steps to do this and then helping other people do it too.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, what were the hardships in publishing your own book, and how do you make that easier for your clients now?
The hardships, I think it was just basic errors that you make. Like I purchased the wrong ISBN, so I had to purchase it twice. And like editing errors, where my first book had some grammar errors, where I was like, okay, you need to invest in an editor. Just little things like that, where once I learned the process myself, it was much easier to help other people.
Okay. I love that. Okay, so tell me more about the heart, right? Because as an entrepreneur, as a leader, while you're going through your own evolutions and changings, so is your growth of your business and how you see things and help people and all the things. So, how has your personal life helped you massively and how you overcome things to then also help your clients?
That's a good question. And I've always heard that for every level there's a new devil. And that is so true for me and my business at least. I have had to recreate who I am as a person. I have had to change my mindset and get rid of old self-limiting beliefs. I've had to create new patterns and behaviors in my life. I
Which
literally
is really hard to
It's
do.
very hard. I literally had to reconstruct who I am as a person to get to where
Uh,
I am. And so
yep.
I know, and I can kind of feel it in my soul every time that there's a new level. I start to go through certain things and certain obstacles and triggers. And so, yeah. And recently, one of the biggest one that I overcame was my mindset around money. So I hired
Mhm.
a financial advisor. I started reading more financial books. I started educating myself on how the rich get rich. So I had to recreate who I was financially so that I could step into that new role or that new person within my personal life. Once I do that in my personal life, it starts to reflect in my business. So it goes hand in hand.
Absolutely. Money mindset is such a really big thing that whether I always teach people like whether you got money or not, like it's a real phenomenon that people have to work through to help themselves feel free because the usual trajectory is that we feel constrained by money, whether we have a lot of it or not. So I remember you talking about that too earlier, but I want to go back a little bit when you talked about reconstructing who you are. That is massively hard. I mean, I feel like people have a general understanding that change is hard, but like when you're actually doing the thing, like you have to be really committed. You have to have true dedication and passion as to why am I changing these small daily habits to change who I am as an overall person, right? And you mentioned something about triggers, and with every new level, there's a new devil. I agree to that, yes. Um, I often, within my own journey of healing and then me helping others as well, I help people realize that as you level up in expansion, right? And for me, when we talk about something as simple, let's say anxiety, when we're nervous about something, we contract, we get small, right? And so to be a leader, to be faithful, which is a big medicine when it comes to anxiety, to be faithful in self and others and God, the universe, it's this belief that like I'm good. No matter what happens, I'll be okay. Right. And so when we're elevating in life and growth and healing and leadership, entrepreneurship, whatever it is, you're expanding. And for me, your heart chakra is being opened. Like that to me is like there's a glow within inside of you and you're allowing it to beam for the betterness of yourself and others, right? And so when we're doing that, it's fantastic. We love feeling that way. It feels phenomenal, but you're elevating. It's almost like you're opening yourself up so this old debris falls behind you or underneath you, whatever you want to, however you want to see it. And so then like you're lifted and you're floating almost, but then here is a new level and there's new trajectory to understand, to tackle, and but it's the same human being lifted. So it's like you were on level 1 before, now you're on level 3. You have new things to see, but you're still the same human. And so sometimes they're still programming on level 1. Right. And so these triggers, I always say that triggers are a beautiful reminder of like what you still have to work on. So tell me more about that. Like, as you are growing and elevating, what are your old parts of self that still need or that still needed healing in the past, and how did you overcome that?
So one that I recently overcame was people pleasing.
Okay.
My past self, I wanted to not ruffle the feathers. I didn't want confrontation. I wanted everyone to like me. I will do whatever you tell me just so we're in good graces. I overextended myself to people because I wanted to feel validated by them. And it took God removing multiple close people from my life for me to realize that you don't have to people please. I learned how to say no, and I learned that no is a complete sentence. I started to stand up for myself when people would try to use me in different ways. I stopped overextending myself. If you're not giving me the same energy, I'm not going to give it to you. My circle became smaller, and actually, it opened up more opportunities for me to create new friendships with people that are on my level. So but that one was a hard one because you want to hold on to those people so bad and you want them to love you so bad. And God's like, hey, but you're going to a new level. You're moving up. So you got to move with the people that are on that level. That was a hard one, but it is one that I recently overcame. And it was
That's huge. That is a huge one. So, okay, I love that no is a full sentence. Yet, yes, it is. No is a full sentence. Um, what did you learn about yourself about or we can talk about it here and figure it out together, but why did you people please for so long? When did that behavior begin for you? And what did it mean for you? Because you said something like, I really wanted to help and bring these people with me or stay with them or something to that extent, but it's usually a lot deeper than that. Like, why we do things is completely derived about what our beliefs about the world, where we feel we are valued in the world, a whole bunch of things. So what was the story? Why did you begin people pleasing? When did that start happening for you? And why did you stick to it? What was the gain for you, even if it was a negative gain?
I do think that it started in my childhood. I know that I learned it somewhere in my childhood of people pleasing and wanting to feel accepted and loved and validated by people. I wanted to fit in. I can't pinpoint the exact age, but I know that it was in my childhood. It is something that I learned in my childhood. And I think I always wanted to make people feel good. And so I would put everyone else's needs before mine. And a lot of what I've been going through in my healing journey over the past 6 months has been me putting me first finally. Where it's like, I don't care if I'm inconveniencing you, I will inconvenience you for the rest of my life because I'm putting me first finally. So I do think that it comes from feeling validated and feeling loved, but once I started to realize that I'm not alone, I am connected to source, and I started to really truly love myself, I realized I didn't need
There you go.
certain people in my life
There you go.
or things in my life.
Okay, wow, what a beautiful revelation for all individuals who are either going through this journey or still stuck in people pleasing patterns. Okay, so you did it because there was a lack of self love. There was a needing for attention and there was a needing to feel wanted, needed, right? And then it alchemized into I am powerful all by myself. I have God source, behind me, within me, and I no longer need this external validation.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
what we were craving prior was validation.
mm-hmm,
And so it wasn't about I want to bring these people with me. It was about what it did for your ego when you brought them with you.
mm-hmm.
That's huge.
It is very huge. Girl, I'm telling you, my next book is gonna be good.
Girl, I bet it is. I know it is. I know it is because you're someone who lives authentically. And that's what, like, we were talking prior to us recording. That's what I see from you, from afar in your posts, right? And that's, I teach a lot about this too to my entrepreneurs about like why, messaging and living in authenticity is so important because people buy into you and your story and not just your products, right? And I feel like you've mastered that. So, and it's not, I mean, maybe you tell me, like maybe you've mastered overcoming the vulnerability aspect of it, but it's nothing to actually master, it's to be yourself. Are you a high achieving leader, constantly striving for success, but feeling drained by the weight of responsibility? It's time to hit the reset button on your mind and unlock your full potential. Introducing the Entrepreneur's Mind Reset, a transformational journey designed for CEOs, Type A leaders, and ambitious professionals ready to prioritize their mental and spiritual well-being. Join our exclusive 6-month program where evidence-based therapy meets somatic work and metaphysical techniques. Here, you'll find a tribe of like-minded achievers driven by their passion for success and growth. With personalized one-to-one coaching, group sessions, and ongoing community support, you'll conquer burnout, master your energy, and cultivate a sense of inner peace and abundance. Say yes to yourself and embark on a journey of healing, growth, and success like never before. Visit our website or simply look at the show notes below and reserve your spot today. The Entrepreneur's Mind Reset, because true success starts from within.
This is why for me, like for my business, sometimes I batch content, but for my personal page, every day I post every single day for the past 3 years. It's
Holy shit.
authentic. It's authentic and I post it daily with whatever I'm feeling in that day. It's never pre-planned or like, okay, for the next 30 days I have no, it's always authentic, and it's because I want it to come from me, from my soul.
Yeah. Wow. At 3 years posting nonstop, that is a fucking huge win and milestone. That's insane. More power to you, girly. But yeah, yes, the authenticity, the good days, the bad days, the everything in between, and how I feel about food and life and books and everything. Right? It's like, yeah, like so you practice this, and you've also had beautiful, I don't want to say opportunities, you've probably applied for these opportunities to get in front of TV, media, radio, all the things that you've done in your business. So can you tell us more about that in the same conversation that we're talking about right now, with like just being your most authentic self to get presented these opportunities, and to go after them? How has that been for you in your journey of entrepreneurship?
I'm a powerful manifester, I like to believe. When I think of something that I want, I immediately create it. Like, it's never like eventually, it's always like spot on. Even with the blocks, I remember I told my parents, we were in Colombia, I was visiting them. And I told them I want to do a reality TV show. I want it to be a business one. I don't want to do ratchet TV. It has to be something good. And within 3 days, I was on a call with the producer. So,
Have
uh,
you done human design? Do you know about human design?
I've heard of it, but I haven't done it.
I'll send you a link afterwards. You're probably a manifester, but keep going.
Oh, I'm 100%. Like everything that I desire, I visualize a lot. I think about it, and I think about not just what it's going to look like, but what does it feel like? What do I smell in that moment? Who is around me? What am I wearing? Like I think about everything,
Oh.
and then like, okay, I'll give you an example. So last year,
Hmm.
J Lo had a giveaway, and it was for a free cruise, and I entered it, and I forgot about it. It was for International Women's Day. I forgot about it, and for a second, when I entered it, I envisioned myself on this cruise, and I envisioned myself in the Caribbean on with my bathing suit, just having a great old time. And then I forgot about it. I just kept going about my business. I won. And I went on this cruise, and everything was paid
Wow.
for. They flew me out to Miami, and I had gifts. But I visualized this before it happened. So I know that if I want something and I truly believe in it, it'll come true.
Oh yeah. Wow. Okay, so tell me. So this is, were you taught this, or did you just do this naturally? Because that is a method of manifesting. It is to feel the vibration as if it's already happening. So did you know that? Were you taught that?
I don't know that I was taught that, but I have read books. So I read why am I drawing a blank? I'm drawing a blank. There's this book that
Okay.
I read, but it was amazing, and it talks about that. So I've read some books, but I've always just kind of been that way.
Yeah, kind of naturally. That's a good we have to learn different things just in life. Like I pertain a lot of the things that I learned in business, for me, and in motherhood too. You're a mama too. It's all about like expansion and growing and all the things. And so some things come naturally for us, and I would say what I love learning about you right now is that what comes naturally for you is imagination. In like the best way, I mean, it's never a bad way to imagine it, but to imagine, but you see yourself as the main character. And at 9, you're seeing yourself publishing a book. You're seeing, you have all these visions and sensations, I will say, these other, like, the feeling, what will it smell like, what would it feel like, all of that, in your visions, to then make it come to life. And yeah, when we get into like the woo woo talk of metaphysics and all, which I love, I don't think it's woo woo. There's a science to it. It's, you're literally either collapsing time or like switching planes of the current, reality that you're in right now to one that's going to happen in the future. And the strength in your belief and the excitement in your belief adds frequency to the motion, and it allows it to happen faster. Right. So the J-Lo thing was a perfect example. I'm like, this girl fucking got the J-Lo cruise for free. I already knew what happened before you told me the story. And I was like, okay, this is just how Janine works. And it's like, okay, cool. Now I would see why her readers are probably captivated by her storytelling. So what I'm trying to get at is that you've chosen a field, right? Your entrepreneurship that is riding on your best talents, as it should, right? Sure. Are there things along the way that we had to probably perfect and money mindset things that you didn't have and you had to work on? Cool, fine. But the basis of who you are and what you do and how you help people are on your God-given gifts.
It's so true. And I'm thinking as you speak, I'm even thinking about my healing process. There's a few things that I have done where my counselor, my spiritual counselor will be like, who taught you that? And I'm like, nobody. So I know that I have like such a either old soul or I've been here before, but like I remember being on top of the mountain and I had anxiety. So I started to do the tapping technique. And she's like, who taught you that? I'm like, nobody, I taught myself. It's like I already knew. And
Yep.
I went to a retreat once and I facilitated my own cord cutting ceremony. And when I went back and I told my spiritual, leader, like what I did, she's like, who taught you that, girl? I'm like, nobody. I just did it. So I think I learned to trust myself, tap into myself and my gifts and what I'm able to do, and
Mm-hmm.
let that lead.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, yeah, I love that. And that's definitely what's happening for you. And for me, spirituality is just an act of remembering. We really do know all things, right? It's just a matter of, taking out the bricks out of our backpack to make it lighter for us and have an easier path along what we called life, right? And it's just like, yeah, like the burdens that are holding us back is just, all these old stories and limiting beliefs, but then the solutions, the medicine, it's like it's always within. The
Always.
people pleasing solution was always within, right? And so, yeah, I just think that you're a beautiful testament of that.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah. Okay. So tell me now, girly, what is something that is really exciting you in your business? What are you working on that's new? Tell us more about that.
Something new in my business. I just launched my Published Authors Academy. So I have my book publishing academy, and that's for writers that want to write, publish, and launch their book. And it's been successful. We have over 40 published books. We have 140
Awesome.
authors in my community. We have bestsellers. They've been on TV, national news, all that great stuff. But what happens is
Beautiful.
they're like, okay, cool. So we published, we became a bestseller. Now what?
Now what?
So I just launched my Published Authors Academy, and that's for authors that want to walk away from their corporate job to do this full time. They want to be a full time author and speaker, and I teach them the steps. A lot of back end business techniques as far as how to grow a team, the financials, the legal, all of that stuff. So I just launched that. I'm super excited about it.
Exciting. Okay, so you launched it like you put it out to market, or you are currently in the program working with your clients?
I just put it out to market like
Okay.
2 weeks ago, so it's freshly new, and I have
Okay.
my first batch of clients that signed up and actively working with them.
Yay, that's exciting. Okay, so we'll add that link to the show notes. You'll have to email me that so we can put it in there. That is super exciting. Um, okay, tell me about having these new for me from a business mindset. It's like, okay, cool, you got your clients from point A to point B. They're happy with their results. They need a little bit more help, right? Because they've gotten to the next level, as we always do. So now you've created a solution to better help them in this stage of life, right? And I love this. Is what we call product suite, right? Like you're just helping them further along. um, I think sometimes when individuals are like beginning a business or even in a business and they have like one thing and they want to do more things, like they kind of overcomplicate it by thinking that this is going to be too hard to juggle all the things. And so, what is your mindset when I mean, I'm learning about like, you have an idea, you're excited, so you just do it. But how do you mentor others who have blocks, or how have you mentored yourself when it's like if something seems that it's out of reach, how do you overcome that?
Just do it. Um, I wish there was a better answer, but I'll tell you this. So my programs are online classes that come with a workbook, and then we do bi-weekly group calls. The process of creating the program, like recording the videos and the workbooks and editing them, that is just, it's a lot. And so, I dreaded that part for like 4 or 5 months. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. It's just too much. You got to just do it. You have to do it. And so I did. In March, I spent literally all of March recording over 45 videos with the workbook, with editing, all of
Holy shit. How long were the videos?
it could be anywhere between 10 minutes to a half hour. It just depends. What I
Girl.
did I know. What I did different with this program, though, is I brought on coaches that are experts in different things. So, for example, Dylan is our credit coach. Kelly is our
Um,
accounting coach. So,
oh, nice.
I brought in different experts to help create this program. And honestly, you just have to do the work. If you keep procrastinating, like I do sometimes,
Yeah.
you're gonna get stuck, and then your clients are gonna get stuck too. But once I got over that hump of like the program's finished, all I have to do now is sell. It's so much easier.
Mm.
I mean, have a little bit more work-life balance, and
Hmm.
it just becomes smoother process after that.
Okay, I love your mind. So all I have to do now is sell. So I'm laughing because let me do a little bit of a backstory. In the beginning of my business, I was so in love with with the reality that I could create something, package it, sell it, and make money off of it. Like just the simplistics of that. And I was like, holy shit, like this is like feasible. This is what people do. Like this is insane. And I loved it so much coming from being a burnt out therapist that I was like, oh my God, I want everybody to learn about this possibility. And so my young naive self in the beginning of business, I had good intentions, but like I wanted everyone to feel and taste what I was tasting in life. And so I bring that up because when you say things like just do it, that is also my mentality, like just fucking do it, you know? But not everybody thinks that way. And not everybody thinks that way. And it's not like, oh, we're better than, or it's just we're just different. And so I want to recognize that for anyone who's listening. It's like, well, for me as a mental health therapist first, then mindset coach and spiritual healer, it's like if someone is not there, if someone can't just fucking do it, then it's like, well, what's stopping you from doing it? Do you are you understanding yourself, and your perceived limitations? What is the ego telling you that you can't do, or what is not possible or realistic in this world, right? I think that as you and I probably know through experience and just by learning in life, is that like anything is possible. It's just a matter of, do you really believe it enough for it to be so? And are you generating enough power to put forces behind it to do it? Right. And so, I love that about you. We have a lot of similarities. And also what you just said after, then you said that hard part is done. Now all I have to do is sell. So I already know in your experience, because of how you're depicting it, it's like selling is easy for you, which is fantastic. Selling is not easy for a lot of people. What do you think it is that makes selling so easy for you?
So I'll say this: selling is easy for me, but I don't know that I prioritize it all the time. Um, What makes it easy for me, though, is being authentic and being vulnerable with people, especially in the business that I'm in, where I'm helping people be vulnerable so they could share their stories. By me being vulnerable and saying, hey, I used to be exactly where you were. I had no idea what I was doing. I was afraid of what my friends and family were going to think about my book. I X, Y, and Z. I'm even like every time that I launch a book, I cry because I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm scared. So me being vulnerable and sharing with them is what helps me sell, is
Okay.
building a relationship with people.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's a process. And I say I don't prioritize it all the time because there's ebbs and flows in business, and I do think that a person needs to have a solid sales department or process or structure. Because if you don't, and your client success process isn't created, then you're gonna have people that are not happy. They're gonna fall off. You know what I mean? So I made sure to create a very strong like sales process. I have all the automations, the funnels, everything. And then once they enroll in my program, they have an accountability coach that's there holding them accountable. We have the biweekly calls. We send them gifts in the mail to keep them excited and motivated. There's milestones that they have to hit. So it's bigger than just like, oh, I made a sale. It's like the full lifetime process of their journey.
Mm. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah. So you're really holding your clients through this process,
Mhm.
and they're learning to trust you. All right. Well, here's a question. So I love that. I often teach that, sales is, to be a good salesperson is to be able to help somebody regulate their nervous system, because there's so many fears that come up in a sales call, objections, people call them, right? It's just like, okay, can you hold your clients where they're, or potential clients where they're at? But you're already, like you're already on the call with them. Um, a part of sales is also leads, right? So how many people are seeing your advertisement, about paid or not, about this thing that you're selling? Like, look, you created this thing in May, and you've already launched it and you already have people enrolled, right? Like it was idea and then you were pumping it out just last month and now people are already enrolled. We're in April, by the way, for those, we're recording in April. So that is definitely like that's very fast. So how do you get people at the top of your funnel? How do you get people to see and then actually want to get on a call and possibly buy from you?
So definitely ads help. Um, and then I have for my business in particular, since it's a high ticket coaching, I have a warm market. So I created a Facebook group, a free Facebook group, and those people, the people in there are my warm market. So they're constantly seeing free trainings from me. They get my emails and text blasts. I go live and I talk to them. So they become my warm market. And then
Mhm.
my every once in a while I will reach out to these people. And some of them might not even sign up for years, but they hear from me every 6 months. Oh, hey, yes, I'm still writing my book, but once they're ready, they'll come to me. I think also me showing
Mm.
up daily on social media, TikTok and Instagram, people watch me. And some
Yes.
of them will watch for you. I've had people that have said, I've watched you for 6 years, and then they
Yeah.
bring up to me.
Wow.
I think that helps too.
1000%. Yeah, perfect. I wanted you to lay down the details for anyone who's interested, because that is what it takes. It's nurturance. It's building a community. It's having people trust you. Like sales for me, it's a huge game of trust. Can I trust you to be my appointed leader at this time to get me from point A to point B? Yes. Why? Not just because you're saying it. You can say that, like, for my example, when I was beginning my business, is like therapy, just a traditional therapist. I'm like, you know how many fucking therapists there are out there? There's so many therapists. Like, what would make me stand out from the rest is that you know my story, you know what I believe in, I'm talking on my stories daily. Like, it's the devotion to sharing who you are and showing up authentically day in and day out, so that your community is invested in whatever it is that you're doing,
Mhm.
which you're doing a fantastic job at. Okay. All right, girly. So I feel like we've kind of swiveled around to many places and they've all been golden nuggets. What is something that you are currently dealing with that is a little bit of an adversity for you, that I could either just hold space for you, help you work through it, but just honor that you are an amazing powerhouse of a woman, and you lead by example, and that means that you're constantly growing. Right. And so, what's something that's happening for you right now that is a little troublesome? It could be personal, business, anything.
Okay, so let's just rip the band-aid off. I got sexually molested 13 years ago and I suppressed it. I literally swallowed it. I did nothing because there was a lot of people involved, like mutual friends. And again, people pleasing, I didn't want to inconvenience them. And I have learned from a young age to protect abusers. So I did nothing about it. And January of this year, I went and I filed criminal charges on this person.
Okay.
And we did a phone tap. So I spoke to my abuser. And the first thing that he said was, I have been praying to God that you would reach out so I could apologize for what I did.
Wow.
So that has started my healing process. And I'll be talking more about it in my next book, but it definitely has helped or has been pivotal in my lesson around people pleasing, because I don't care who I'm inconveniencing right now. I'm here to stand up for myself and speak up for myself and share what happened to me and be a voice for other people. And it's a lot. Like, I get a lot of anxiety around it, so it's still something that I'm
Mhm.
processing and working through and going to counseling. But yeah, that's something that I'm currently going through, and I think it goes hand in hand with like what I do. It's being vulnerable, it's sharing a story, it's not
Yeah.
caring what anyone is going to say about it. It's sharing my truth, and then one day a book's going to come from it, you know?
Yeah. Wow, Janine. Thank you so much for your vulnerability and your honesty and just the rawness of this conversation. Um, that's so hard for so many of us to do, and even now sharing it, like there was like that breath before you released, and it was like, yeah, this is like a devotion. That's how I see it. When people, when we're in the phase of healing where we have to retell our story to really overcome it and work through it, that's a devotional practice. It can be retriggering at times. It can feel empowering at times. It can feel really scary at times. We can feel really doubtful of like, does this even fucking matter? It might, like, all of that. And it's a devotion of like, we're airing it out, we're speaking our truth because we matter, I matter, you matter, right? I deserve to tell this story. And just like anything else in life that's really hard and challenging, it's like facing the beast every day and not knowing what it's going to look like or feel like, right? And so I have so much love for you. And then just timeline wise, I'm thinking, okay, you began this process January of 2024, and then we met on the blocks February of 2024. And we were speaking a little bit prior of how that was so much for different reasons for different people. But I'll just say, and tell me if you agree with this, like just overall, it's like it was a beautiful opportunity. And wow, I learned so much from being on the blocks. And at the same time, I personally got an insight of like, well, what is it like to be on a reality TV show that's about entrepreneurship, right? And so it was like, cameras in your face, working long hours. For me, with my clinical background in therapy, like, I'm observing people and the climate of the room and all the things. And some people are taking it well and some people are not, right? It's like this huge thing that's on the body. You're working long hours, like you're being stimulated, you're learning new information, like all the things. So why am I mentioning all of that? Because you submitted this thing in January. Come February, you're thrown into a box of like just a lot of hyper arousal, if you may, for the body and nervous system. And then if we could go into spirituality, like when we go through hard things like that, God, source, universe, higher power, like there's like a bigger message for it all, right? Like the people that we meet in situations like that, because we're so energetically charged with whatever it is that we're going through, right? Like all of that matters, and all of that, depending on your belief system, it's predestined, meant to be, whatever you call it, right? And so I'm just thinking about like, holy crap, you don't ever really know what's going on behind closed doors. You were going through so much energetically during that time.
So I had gone to the police 3 weeks before the blocks before we recorded, And so I don't know if you noticed, but I kind of stayed to myself. I never really would go to the happy hours. I kind of would just go to my room and kind of would seclude myself a little bit. And there were cliques, like groups of girls that became friends, and I kind of was just by myself. It was because I was going through a lot. And I'm so grateful. Can I share a name on here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Emily,
We recorded a podcast with her, so people will know her. Yes.
yes, the last day of us, like we were gonna fly home, I was with Emily. We were having lunch, and a group of us, and that's when I got a call from the detective saying that the prosecutor's office decided not to move forward with the criminal charges because the statute of limitation passed. But I did not know how I didn't know I would react in that way, and I cried like a baby in the middle of in the front of a restaurant. And I, like, when you're crying and you even have snot coming out your nose and you're hyperventilating, you can't even breathe. Emily just like held me, and she held space for me. She held my hand in the car. She made sure that I was fine. She even missed her flight. She missed her flight to like make sure that I was okay. And we both told each other, like, God put her there for a reason. Like, there was a reason why I was at the blocks, and God put her in my life in that moment for a reason, because I don't know that I would have been able to have that phone call alone. And so anyway, so yeah, life just, everything is destiny, and it all happens the way it's supposed to. And I mean, back in February, I probably would have never been able to have this conversation, but now I do get anxiety. I have a lot of anxiety right here, but it's getting easier the more that I talk about it.
There's so much bravery in your story, and Emily is such a sweetheart. Divine timing that she didn't even catch her flight. Like, what? Like, come on now. Like, she's just such a beautiful person inside and out, and also a reflection of who you were attracting and needing at that time. Right. So I love stories like this. I think you are an incredibly not just brave, but like I said prior, an empowering woman. 2 feet in the ground, even when it's scary, right? Sharing your story. I cannot wait for this book to come out, so I can support and read it and just tell other people about it, because you're doing the scary thing. A past mentor of mine would always ingrain in my brain that leaders go first.
Whew, it's hard, but yeah, we do.
We do. And we're trailblazing for those that come after us, and it's big for us, and it's bigger than us as well.
Yeah, I have come to learn that I'm just a vessel. Like, I'm just being used for different things, and I just got to ride the wave.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Janine, thank you so much. This is a beautiful conversation. I loved interviewing you, loved sharing space with you, and I think our listeners most thoroughly enjoyed this conversation as well.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, of course, girly. All right, goodbye for now. Oh, one more thing I'll say. So sorry. Janine, where can they find you?
Instagram is the best place. I am Janine Hernandez _, on Instagram. Or you can go to our website, bookpublishingacademy.org.
Beautiful. Okay, and all those will be linked in our show notes. So please show Janine some love. She is super friendly, just like you see her on the show. And you will learn from her daily stories. So, all right, girly, that is all for now, and we will talk to you very soon. Bye. Are you a high-achieving leader, constantly striving for success, but feeling drained by the weight of responsibility? It's time to hit the reset button on your mind and unlock your full potential. Introducing the Entrepreneur's Mind Reset, a transformational journey designed for CEOs, Type A leaders, and ambitious professionals ready to prioritize their mental and spiritual well-being. Join our exclusive 6-month program where evidence-based therapy meets somatic work and metaphysical techniques. Here, you'll find a tribe of like-minded achievers driven by their passion for success and growth. With personalized one-to-one coaching, group sessions, and ongoing community support, you'll conquer burnout, master your energy, and cultivate a sense of inner peace and abundance. Say yes to yourself and embark on a journey of healing, growth, and success like never before. Visit our website or simply look at the show notes below and reserve your spot today. The Entrepreneur's Mind Reset, because true success starts from within. Thank you for tuning into Mindset Mastery with Julissa Edwards. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast to receive future episodes packed with valuable insights. Remember to follow us on social media at thehealthy.highperformer for more inspiration, tips, and updates. If you found this episode helpful, we'd appreciate it if you could share it with your network and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us as we continue to empower high performers like you. Until next time, keep mastering your mindset and thriving as a healthy high performer.